How's it going, everyone? VenomousStare. Today I have a 3v3 cast for you on the map Slaying Fields. Now the thing that I want to note about Slaying Fields is it is a 3v3 map that has split bases as opposed to a shared base. This means that cheese play is much more powerful and it's more of a fend for yourself type of thing at the beginning. Whereas shared base, it favors defensive play wherever you kind of butt buddy up with allies and defend each other easily, but with split bases, it really is every man for himself at the beginning. So this leads to cheesier play at the beginning. Oftentimes two players will gang up on one player, so it's more dynamic in that way. Oftentimes people complain that StarCraft 2 is too much about massing up, both players mass up and then they fight and the game's over. Well, in 3v3, if the split bases, it's definitely not like that. It's the very opposite of that. Because there's Elusive Smoke trying to cannon rush, but Aftershock knows what's up and stops it. He's also over here at this base, so Elusive Smoke, he's a master of the cannon rush. He really knows all about deception and sending multiple probes out. He slaps one pylon down, slaps two pylons. Here comes three. There's the 3B, but he lets in the probe, so it's not a full wall, and he loses it. He has the two over here, so far Elusive Smoke has been a huge failure. That cannon rush, I would equate it to the Ted Cruz candidacy. Just absolutely terrible, but he's going to come in here. And I'm going to nickname this little cannon Iowa because it appears as though he's going to steal this away. And Gorgonatus, the red Protoss, who's making a zealot and trying to chrono out probes here, is going to have to defend against this low ground shenanigans. Notice Aftershock, the red Protoss, is defending this failed cannon rush. Meanwhile, Shock is getting two reactors, so he's probably going to have a lot of Marines. Another barracks, he's lifted to the gold, mind you. Multiple cannons going down, Elusive Smoke losing high ground. But if we go to Elusive Smoke, as I literally clicked all of the incorrect ones before I got the right one, he'll lay one pylon down, he needs to lay more, there's a second, he should probably do a third, there's a third. The man knows his cannons. So now, this immense high ground vision is going to have to be contended with as Gorgonatus is being shut down here. Lots of cannons for Elusive Smoke. Lots of cannons. He starts to lay down cannons on the high ground. He canceled an unnecessary pylon in Gorgonatus. I'm just going to call him Gorgonatus like it's Hotshot GG, and that's his last name, the Greek Gorgonatus. So Gorgonatus, he's trying to photon overcharge, I would presume, as soon as he gets enough energy. But currently he's attempting to hold this. Meanwhile, his ally Aftershock has sent zealots to Elusive Smoke's main. Savagewood defends a probe, I believe, scouting him there. More zealots on the way. Elusive Smoke needs the help of his ally A-Ramp, who selfishly builds two spines. I don't see any lings on the production tab for A-Ramp. Building a roach warren, maybe he's waiting for roaches. But Elusive Smoke has dealt tremendous damage to Gorgonatus. Perhaps he could kill this pylon before Warp Gate finishes. He does, so Warp Gate, despite being chronoed, is significantly delayed. But if Elusive Smoke loses his Nexus, it is all for naught, I fear. And if we look in Camp Savagewood, he's getting a medevac. He already has a medevac. He's dropping his opponent. Here comes the siege tank. He's getting another one as well as another tank. Aftershock has 3 units on the way with Warp Gate, but if this pylon dies, it's going to be trouble. Aftershock has another base, but he has just built 3 pylons, attempting to place them for photon overcharge to defend his natural. Meanwhile, we see Elusive Smoke still dealing severe damage in the main of the other red Protoss, who is mining, mind you, but Shock is going to come in. Notice he's been pumping Reactor Marine unharried. But Shock is going to come in and get shelled by the tank. Savagewood's kiting back. Savagewood scans, gets a tank shot, picks up a tank evac. Boom! Gets another. The tank is ready, has to be careful. Boom! Gets another. So Savagewood makes good use of his scan. He also sends units offensively over here. He's already sniped a pylon. Now he's going to be obnoxious and kill probes. So Savagewood, he's known to be obnoxious. This is micro. Kills many probes. So Aftershock has a Robo. He has an Immortal. He just finished Double Stalker. His warp gates continued. Savagewood is being obnoxious. He's built a bunker on this low ground. A-Ramp has units in the middle of the map being defensive. But Aftershock has taken lots of damage. It appears as though he will probably stabilize, though. He has 3 gates pumping away dutifully. He started another. He has an Immortal on the way, which is critical against these tank and bunker-based pushes. And this gate, this Cybernetics core has finished its research. Immortal dies, but so does the bunker. Savagewood immediately starts another. He's being extremely obnoxious, drops a tank on the very, very corner of this cliff. He's churning away shots, pummeling this gateway. And Elusive Smoke has many cannons here. He's done his fair share, but George Elitis repowered the Cyber Core and finished that warp gate. So Savagewood has a little bit of high ground vision, but really not enough units here. I think he's forced. Aftershock has finally scattered this push to the winds, but it's going to reap. It's going to pillage, and it's going to stay on the outskirts of his base. Similar to the Brave Companions, Vargo Hote's Raiders. See, Aftershock is the Riverlands, and despite Shock being placed here defensively, his butt buddy, and lots of Shock's Marines here. Notice he's been pumping Reactored Marine, 3 reactors, so Shock has a ton of units. Not a whole lot in the way of upgrades, mind you, but sometimes you just need raw units. So he's going to help his buddy fend off Savagewood, the Raider, as it were. Savagewood repairs his delicate, expensive units that he used for his aggressive push, and he's going into Banshee. So Savagewood really dedicating a lot of his money to obnoxiousness. His A-Ramp runs around with Zerglings. He scouts Shock, sees what he has. Elusive Smoke is still being obnoxious. This is the thing about cannon rushes. Because you can warp in from pylons, you can't just forget about them if they went all the way deep into your main. You do have to clear them. Immortals are good at this. I would venture a guess and say that they're not as good as they used to be. Because with multiple cannons, I don't know, it's hard to say. That might be nonsense actually, now that I think about it. So this is the benefit of going triple reactor, is you have lots of units, and you can just hit your opponent with an unexpected amount of units. You know, usually Zerg would be expecting half this many Marines, probably with Stim though. A-Ramp has lots of stuff building, as well as an Ultraless Cavern, so he's been unharassed virtually. And he's already teched all the way up to Hive. Elusive Smoke throws down an overcharge, does not have energy for another. A-Ramp runs forward, takes care of the tank intelligently there. Nice micro from A-Ramp. Notice A-Ramp also has 2-2, a crushing upgrade advantage when unupgraded Protoss Bio faces off against Zerg. And it's rare that Zerg compositions, low econ, not necessarily low econ, but low tech Zerg compositions, like Pure Ling, look that good against Protoss units with Robo. As we see, Savagewood has been obnoxious with Banshees in the meanwhile. But A-Ramp has been a diligent upgrader, therefore he has been rewarded. He's already getting Ultras in 3-3. So A-Ramp started the Zerg clock of obnoxiousness here very early, teching into Hive quickly, as Elusive Smoke attacked with cannons and Savagewood attacked with tech units. Elusive Smoke trying to get more cannons up, his favorite structure I would venture a guess, as well as a Photon Overcharge. Ooh, Chrono Boosted DT. Now Elusive Smoke the type to not have Warp Gate, although he does, if we go to upgrades. He also has +1, making use of that early forge, getting double Warp Gates, of course, them not finishing. A little bit delayed there, but A-Ramp is going to come through with Ultras. Savage would miss microing a Banshee there, needing to cloak, but he stems and takes care of both Mothership cores. Savagewood does have +1, and he helps fend off the enemy push. Shock's probably going to lose a medevac. He definitely loses one, keeps the other, but at what cost? Notice George Elitis, Hotshot GG's clone, has retaken his main, but really doesn't have any probes. And at this point, you have to have the correct units to deal with Ultras. And if we go to units, the Immortal count is not there. Aftershock got his Mothership core sniped. He was unable to recall due to Savagewood's Stim Marines focus fire. And George Elitis simply does not have, he's going Colossus, but he really needs Immortals, and honestly double Robo Immortals. And here's Shock trying to defend A-Ramp Saras, but Savagewood has slaughtered the probes over here of the red team. He has 2 tanks. Savagewood also has a cloaked Banshee. This is very hard to deal with because it requires the allocation of a detection, Savagewood stems Bioford here and takes advantage of Aftershock and mows him down. Aftershock not having any splash. This is the advantage of split base. One team going Colossus, or excuse me, one person. The person who was going Colossus kind of should have been going Immortal the way it worked out, although he didn't make a mistake per se as much as it was just luck, or scouted rather. A mixture of luck and just who was close by spawning positions. So A-Ramp going into Fast Hive, Savagewood doing a drop in the main there, so lots going on. Savagewood also dealt a significant amount of damage with Banshees. And that'll be the game as the Out and Out clan takes it. Elusive Smoke doing his fair share with cannons, of course. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more.